At first, it didn't look like a disaster. Just a few torn patches of grass, a broken fence post, deep, unfamiliar tracks pressed into the soft green soil of rural Texas farmland. The kind of damage farmers notice, but don't panic over. Not yet. But by sunrise, everything changed. Entire rows of grass flattened. Irrigation lines ripped apart like paper. Mud sprayed across the fields as if something massive had charged through the land without stopping. And then came the smell, a sharp, musky warning that experienced Texas farmers recognized instantly. Wild boars. Not one, not two, a force. In Texas, wild boars aren't just animals. They are an invasion, intelligent, aggressive, and multiplying faster than any fence, rifle, or patrol can handle. A single sounder can destroy months of work in one night, then vanish before dawn as if they were never there. But this time they didn't vanish. Trail cameras began lighting up, night after night, dozens of glowing eyes reflecting infrared light, massive bodies moving with discipline, mothers shielding young, older boars scouting the perimeter like trained soldiers. These weren't reckless animals. They were learning. Farmers watched helplessly as millions of dollars worth of land across Texas fell victim to the same pattern. Crops destroyed, pastures ruined, equipment damaged, and in some cases, livestock injured or killed. Traditional hunting slowed them down, but never stopped them, because wild boars adapt. They memorize gunshots. They reroute around danger. They move at night, using wind and terrain to their advantage. Every failed attempt only makes the next encounter more dangerous. That's when the realization hit. This wasn't a hunting problem. This was a systems problem. Somewhere deep in Texas ranch country, a group of farmers made a decision that would quietly change everything. No helicopters, no constant gunfire, no reckless chasing through fields. Instead, they turned to something far more dangerous to wild boars and bullets: patience, engineering, and an understanding of how these animals think. What if, instead of chasing the boars, you let them walk it on their own? What if you built something so natural, so unintimidating, that the boars never realized they were being controlled? What if the trap didn't feel like a trap at all? Under the Texas sun, surrounded by open green land, wooden posts began appearing. Nothing suspicious. Just another structure on a ranch. No noise. No movement. No threat. The boars watched. They always do. Nights passed. Then weeks. The trap remained empty. Farmers waited. Cameras rolled. Data was collected. Patterns were mapped. Entry points studied. Wind directions logged. Feeding behavior analyzed. This wasn't force. It was strategy. Because when wild boars feel safe, they commit fully. And when they commit, they bring the entire sounder. What happens next would shock even veteran wildlife experts. A single design would succeed where years of hunting had failed. A silent system capable of controlling not dozens, but millions of wild boars across Texas. No chaos, no wasted movement, no second chances. Just one moment when the smartest invasive species in North America realizes, too late, that Texas outsmarted them. And once that gate closes, there is no escape. What Texas farmers built wasn't a trap in the traditional sense. It was a behavioral system. By the time the structure was complete, It blended seamlessly into the open green land. No sharp angles, no narrow cages, just a wide, circular enclosure made from industrial-grade steel fencing, reinforced deep into the soil, strong enough to hold the weight of dozens of adult boars, quiet enough to raise zero suspicion. But the real power wasn't the fence. It was time. For the first several weeks, the gate stayed completely open. No pressure, no interference. Corn was scattered lightly, not dumped, not piled. Enough to attract curiosity, not desperation. The cameras recorded everything. Every visit, every hesitation, every step forward and retreat. Wild boars are cautious by nature, especially in Texas, where pressure from humans is constant. The first nights, only one or two approached. They circled, sniffed, tested the wind, then retreated back into the darkness. Exactly as expected. After a few days, younger boars began stepping inside. In and out. No consequences. No noise. No danger. Their confidence grew. And when confidence spreads like a sounder, behavior changes fast. Soon, entire families entered the enclosure. Mothers, juveniles, even dominant males. They fed calmly. They lingered. They began treating the structure as part of their territory. This is where most people fail. The urge to act early is overwhelming. Close the gate. Take what you can. Celebrate a small win. But Texas farmers had learned the hard way. Partial success guarantees long-term failure. So they waited. Night after night, they counted. 20, 30, 40 animals inside at once. Still they waited, because one boar outside is enough to educate the rest. Then came the night that changed everything. The cameras showed something rare. Complete trust. Not a single lookout posted outside. No pacing. No nervous movement. Just dozens of massive bodies feeding shoulder to shoulder under the Texas moon. From miles away, a farmer watched the live feed on his tablet. He didn't rush. He didn't speak. He waited until every animal was fully inside the enclosure. Then he pressed a button. The gate dropped in less than 2 seconds. No warning shot. No explosion. No sound that could echo across the land. Just sudden confusion. Boar slammed into steel. Pushed. Charged. Tested every weak point. But the structure held. And here's the most critical detail. No other sounders learned from this. There was no gunfire to memorize, no blood trail to avoid, no noise pattern to fear. To the rest of the region, nothing unusual had happened. By sunrise, the damage stopped. Authorized wildlife management teams arrived. The operation followed Texas regulations to the letter. Animals were removed humanely. Meat was processed legally where allowed. Data was recorded. The enclosure was reset. 3 weeks later, it happened again. Different sounder. Same result. Across Texas, word spread quietly. Ranch to ranch. County to county. Farmers shared designs. Improved materials. Optimized gate timing. What began as an experiment became a network. One enclosure could remove more boars in a single night than months of active hunting, without making the survivors smarter. This wasn't about domination. It was about understanding the enemy better than the enemy understood itself. And Texas farmers had finally found a leverage point. But the story doesn't end with success, because controlling wild boars raises a dangerous question. What happens when the land grows quiet again? And how long before the next wave arrives? When the land finally grew quiet, it felt unnatural. Texas soil is never truly silent. There's always movement. Insects, wind through grass, distant cattle, the low hum of life continuing. But this was different. The torn earth stopped appearing overnight. No fresh rooting. No destroyed irrigation lines. No midnight alarms triggered by motion sensors along the fence lines. For the first time in years, farmers slept through the night. But the veterans didn't celebrate yet, because wild boar control is not a victory you win once. It's a balance you maintain. Texas learned this the hard way decades ago. Every time aggressive hunting reduced numbers temporarily, survivors adapted. They became nocturnal, more cautious, more destructive. The population rebounded stronger, smarter, and harder to track. That cycle nearly broke entire farming communities. The system changed that equation by removing entire sounders at once. Quietly, the land didn't broadcast danger. Nearby boars didn't learn fear. They didn't shift behavior. They didn't scatter into neighboring counties. They simply never arrived. Ecologists monitoring the program began noticing something remarkable. Native vegetation recovered faster than expected. Ground-nesting birds returned. Deer movement stabilized. Even erosion slowed along creek beds that had been repeatedly destroyed by rooting. This wasn't just pest control anymore. It was ecosystem repair. County agricultural offices began documenting results. Crop losses dropped dramatically. Some farms reported recovery rates of over 90% within 2 seasons. Insurance claims declined. Equipment damage decreased. Labor costs dropped as emergency responses became rare instead of routine. But success brought a new responsibility. The system required discipline. One impatient closure could undo months of work. One untrained operator could educate an entire region of boars. That's why Texas didn't treat this like a trick. They treated it like infrastructure. Standardized designs, approved materials, training protocols, remote monitoring guidelines. Legal compliance was non-negotiable. This wasn't a loophole. It was regulated, documented, and enforced. And then came the most unexpected outcome. Urban expansion zones, areas once considered impossible to protect, began seeing results. Ranch land bordering suburbs experienced fewer incidents, fewer vehicle collisions, fewer emergency calls. The risk to human life dropped sharply. Wild boars are not just an agricultural threat. They are a public safety risk. A 300-pound animal moving at full speed doesn't care about property lines. Texas knew this, and for once, prevention worked better than reaction. Still, no one pretended the war was over. Climate patterns are shifting. Winters are shorter. Food sources are expanding. Migration corridors change every year. New sounders will come. But now, Texas has something it didn't before.